and they get right into the mix. I mean, it's immediately into the mix. Obviously, they're getting shot at on the way down, and then as soon as they hit the ground, it's on. Back to the book. A man with blood-stained shell dressing wrapped around his throat walked around the corner of the wood and towards us just as Pritchard, who's the medic, finished his work. Then came a couple of parties carrying stretchers, the occupant of one unconscious, the other with a cigarette between his gray, tight lips. They were the first stream of wounded men from a variety of units, making their painful way towards the dressing station which had been set up in the wood behind us. So far, C Company had been lucky. Only 4 men were missing, and a 5th had turned up late, smiling cheerfully despite a bullet through his bandaged arm. Another 4 or 5 were limping and hopping about on strained or twisted ankles, expressions of disgust in their faces, victims of the gusty wind on the dropping zone. All of them would have to be left behind. But then I thought again, calculating the figures once more. Perhaps we had not been so lucky after all. 1/10 of the men who had emplaned that morning were already casualties. It had sounded as if all the fighting had happened on the far side of the dropping zone, in the Arnhem direction. Now the noise of the battle began to ebb. The enemy posts had probably been overrun. Neither news nor orders had arrived from battalion headquarters. But I knew better than to obstruct the radio net with needless questions. So, first of all, you're rolling into a situation where you're on your insert and you lose 10% of your men. That's just where you're starting. Now, if I remember correctly, that is the standard kind of figure that when you're conducting a big airborne operation, like when the Army conducts big airborne operations, that's what they figure they're going to take for casualties on the drop zone. Obviously, they usually do better than that, but for worst case scenarios, that's kind of what they figure, and that's where they're at. The other thing that I thought was cool is here he is. He hasn't heard any word from the battalion HQ yet, but he's not going to jump on the net and saying, hey, boss, what do you want me to do? Hey, what's going on? Hey, where do you want me to be? Because there's other people that are trying to talk, and he's got to just kind of figure things out at this point.